Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for sticking with us today. We're going to change pace a little bit. Translators, if I start speaking too quickly, I'm an American from California, so we have a tendency to speak quite quickly. So if I start speaking too quickly, just wave your hand and I'll slow down a little bit. We've heard a lot in the last 2 days about the opportunity for printing in Asia Pacific. We've heard a lot in the last 2 days about solutions and products. And look, I like you, all right, I'm an outsider. And I'm getting a little bit overwhelmed here. So what we want to do is we want to have a very frank discussion about taking those opportunities and the solutions and the products and everything and bringing them all together in context. And I think you can tell by the makeup of this panel that we've got a very good chance of doing it. Not only do we have the leading executives for the enterprise group, but we also have here in the middle the leaders of the HP IPG organizations in the region's 2 largest countries. And of course, to make sure that we don't stray too far from reality, we have Sandra, who will keep us firmly anchored in the facts. So we're just going to dive straight in, and I'm going to throw the panelists some questions. And we want to make this an open and comfortable discussion. You know, we've had a lot of presentations today. We want to make this kind of very comfortable and open. So guys, relax. You know, don't move forward. These are big, comfy chairs. You know, we got lots of room. So let's check. First, I want to get Pierre, since he looks the most comfortable over there. Pierre, in the recent economic downturn, enterprises and SMBs were, for obvious reasons, looking for ways to reduce cost. How has that impacted the imaging and printing group at HP, particularly here in Asia Pacific? You're wired.
I have. I think this requirement that we felt very deeply in 2009 last year actually helped accelerate our managed print services business, because it fell exactly in our value proposition that we have in managed print services, which is to help organizations reduce costs. But now we're seeing a shift in 2010, which is a rapid move towards productivity and towards improving business outcomes. So I think you know, we really have the right approach and right strategy to our customers in this space.
Franco, what do you see from your point of view?
Actually, this one. IPG responded very quickly last year at the peak of the crisis. We roll out a campaign called When Everything Counts, because we know that customers at that time were looking at cost cutting, and we trained both our salespeople as well as channel partners to actually roll out programs as well as educate customers how they can save costs. Many of them are not buying premium device at that time. So we went through a very detailed programs in terms of actually teaching them how to even optimize the current fleet of printing solution. This year, like what the peers say, customers are still looking at costs, but they're looking at also improving their productivity in view of the recovery. So some of the products that we introduced yesterday, with some of the features and technology we roll out, for example, the auto on and off, actually save both cost as well as energy. So our focus again here will be helping the customer first increase their business productivity, cut costs, as well as reduce their environmental impact.
Sandra, what do you see from the big picture? I mean, is this business, is this industry still kind of feeling the effect of the economic downturn?
Okay, whoever was paying attention yesterday, I talk about us moving on from crisis. In fact, I talk about us getting into the early phase of expansionary. So I think crisis is pretty much behind us. I think what is more important for organizations like HP and others in this climate going forward is to basically be able to help their customers, whether these are SMBs or large enterprises, to capture the opportunity. And in this new normal marketplace, what companies are looking for is doing things differently, doing new things, because things that you have already done before, it's going to be quite difficult for you to demonstrate the same amount of value, right? It's only the new stuff that's going to give you that substantial incremental benefit. So I think that's what organizations like HP should focus on as they serve the marketplace.
Great. Now to our country leaders, and I'm going to direct this towards Ravi first and then to Ken, simply because Ravi is our guest here in China. From your perspective as the heads of the IPG businesses in these two massive markets, what are you doing to sort of capture these key growth opportunities? Because we hear a lot of talk about, well, this is a great service, we're going to be launching it in Australia and in Singapore, this is another great service. What are the sorts of things that you're doing to actually match this opportunity that IPG faces with some of these great tools and services that we've been talking about these last couple of days?
First of all, some history. Last year was a challenging year for growth for HP and most IT companies around the world. But MPF was one business which we still grew quite aggressively last year in India. And as Sandra mentioned, as we get into the year of growth, which is the current year, we find that CIOs and CFOs are our great partners in trying to get into MPS. Most of them are in growth phase. Most CIOs and CFOs feel that printing is one environment on which they have the least control. They are trying to shift their entire expense structure from a capital expenditure to an operating expense. And in all these arenas, MPF actually is a great service from a customer perspective. In India, we also have a typical another challenge because most of the companies have hundreds of offices around the country, and these offices have printers which have been purchased over the last decade or so in an absolutely uncontrolled manner. They're used by third-party service providers sometimes, original cartridge, refill cartridge, and we have found that in many cases, whenever they've gone through assessment phase, the CIOs and CFOs actually get shocked how much money they're spending on the printing infrastructure. In most such cases, we have been able to work with the customer to optimize the infrastructure, manage it better, make it more secure, make it more controlled. In most cases, the savings have been to the tune of 20 to 30%. So I think it's a service which is very well appreciated by the customers, and I think that they can get it one day on.
Ken, over to you.
Yeah, good answer. Let me just give you the background. I want to approach this opportunity in a number of areas. First, from the economic point of view, talk about what Ken was saying yesterday, today. Second one, talk about opportunity, the market. Third, about solution. So I'm going to summarize it hopefully in 3 minutes, right? First is from an economic point of view. China was one of the first few economies that sort of recovered very quickly. In fact, obviously there's a lot of data from their various experts, but from our own business point of view, we're sitting in the front end. So we saw our business actually come back starting in the third quarter of last year. Also recovery mode. In fact, this year we actually saw we're no longer in recovery mode, we're actually in a growth mode. And you look at it from an AMI study, right? From the AMI, which is specialist in the SMB marketplace. China, in the ICT spending area in 2009 actually grew about 3.7% in small business over 2008, and medium business actually grew over 4.4%. So together, SMB is about $13.6 billion, and then medium business is about twice that amount. So a lot of opportunities in there. So from an economic point of view, we are growing. From a market point of view, obviously, I'll be honest, I think all markets for us are growth areas, right? Particularly, we look at SMB and enterprise. So that's an area that we're going to really focus in. And obviously, yesterday, the kind of product solution that we're offering yesterday, let's talk about a product area, right? It's all-in-one, all-in-one, 4-in-1. It's designed for China, especially for China. It's a very small box, energy efficient, with all of the same features, are ideally suitable for SMB customers, as well as for enterprise customers. There's no cost, A3 color. People think, well, it's a very small market, why are you interested in it? Well, everything adds up, right? That's a very good market for us, and I think we look at a financial institution which requires to print a lot more data on a larger size of paper, A3 low cost. It's a very good box for us. Not to mention PS, and beside me, I would say a few words about PS as well. From the enterprise area, people have said China, what do people care in China about enterprise, about management service? I had the same question a few years ago. Now, suddenly, starting from global enterprise using NPS. Not of a state enterprise government agency are deploying NPS solutions because for cost saving, for increasing productivity, improving process, and obviously compliance with government on green, IT, and obviously energy saving. So I think all of these are exciting opportunities.
You mentioned green IT, and I want to bring this up because I think clearly it's been a major theme the last couple of days, but I want to kind of do a reality check for a moment. Sandra, there is a perception that businesses, particularly in emerging markets, maybe aren't quite as interested in softer issues like the environment as they are in the more developed markets. Do you see that as the case?
Earlier on, Lawrence talked a lot about, the eco solutions and benefits of green. There is actually an independent and separate study that we've done. It's a global one where we've included, for this part of the world, Japan, Australia, and China. And since, we're kind of focused on China and India, I'll talk about China. The study actually showing that 75%, so three-quarters of the respondents in China had indicated that the reason why they embrace green is because it helps achieve overall cost reduction of the operation. So that is extremely important for this part of the world here. And the second reason is basically to enhance their corporate and brand image in the marketplace. So for green to be really sustainable, whether we're talking about China, India, or the rest of Asia Pacific region, you need to deliver business results, right? That's critical. And green is a journey, right? It's not something that we do right now and forget about it, 2 years from now. So it's a journey. The beginning has to be about delivering business results, and then from there, through the delivery of business results, then you can actually expect organizations to increase and to move towards and higher in terms of the value chain of green. But that's only possible to have green more sustainable in the long term for the greater good of mankind.
That seems kind of obvious at the surface. Do they really get it at the enterprise level in the emerging markets? Do you really think that that's starting to sink in and that they're beginning to understand that?
For the large enterprise, yes. So we not only talk about the multinational enterprises here, but also the local enterprises. So it's very important to differentiate, because most people look at large enterprise with regard to green as, this is something that you do for only multinationals. The Asian ones are definitely seeing that. And then as you get to the SMB space, increasingly there's a lot of focus, because a lot of vendors like HP have demonstrated that it is possible to deliver business results with green. So that gets a lot of attention, and from that we can actually see a lot of value around carbon footprint, around the impact on the environment.
And David, I can add to that. Also the green, also has the advantage where customers are liking it because it reduces their cost, because everybody's worried about the energy cost which gets into most of the IT products, especially the printers. So as we make printers much more efficient, just being green is one part, but also it kind of reduces the entire cost structure. And I think some of the features which we have recently launched into our products, customers will find it very attractive, not only to become more green, but also reduce their cost and operating.
I want to take a moment and address this to Ken as well, because I think this is a very important question. There's a broad perception around the world about China and the environment, that it's pursuing a lot of projects, but after what happened in Copenhagen and the media stuff around that last year, there is some skepticism overseas. You're the man on the ground here. What are you hearing from customers about their environmental focus?
That is a very good question. Just look at all the China policy coming out recently. You lived in China for about, 15 years?
Yeah.
And what's happening here. There's a lot of focuses on regulation, on energy certification, compliance with environmental impact like carbon footprint or emission. So through the government's regulation, you already see the pressures on for vendors like Hewlett Packard, not just Hewlett Packard, but all the vendors, manufacturers need to comply with the IT technology regulation. That's the first thing. Second thing is, I talked to my China press yesterday. Somebody asked me, what do we, as I said, we really care about saving certain watts per printer? I honestly told you yesterday, when I listened to the pitch, I started thinking about the household goods that I have in my home. I have 5 printers, no HP obviously. some notebook PC. You know? I thought, well, each one of them say like 70 watts compared to the leading brand, right? And they said one printer would save you about 300 RMB a year. Seven equipment, 7 times 3, $2,100. Might look like a small number, but you can buy a couple of good dinner, you know. So if you start adding up all that SMB, you get 30, 40 printers, it's save them a lot of money. So cost saving definitely very important consideration for SMB. Obviously, from enterprise point of view, it's a much bigger deal, right? You're talking about not only any saving, you're talking about conservation of paper. Our products now, our new products are forced duplex printing, right? And also poor security printing, you can limit the number of pages you print, only on demand basis. So all this are really adding to energy conservation. So when I start to talk to customers, you know, I start talking about eco-award, the eco-green practice solution, customers basically all want to participate. So from a demand point of view, from a government regulation point of view, you clearly see the environmental, green IT compliances and requirement and cost saving are becoming an important strategic IC decision. Yeah. I know it's clear.
Good. No. There's some problems in the back, right? Let's shift a little bit. I want to start walking into some sensitive territory here. Okay, so bear with me. I run a small business in China. We have, I'm proud to say, all HP imaging products and have had for a long time. I can tell you this: when it comes to a lot of businesses, the decision isn't should I buy HP or should I buy brand X or brand Y. The question is, after I buy HP, where am I going to get my supplies? Okay, because anywhere around the world, but particularly right here in China, there is a tremendous market for remanufacture and refills and these sorts of things. So you're kind of competing against reman and refill. So how are you kind of getting across the idea of that there's a value to kind of genuine HP products here, and how are you communicating that in these markets? And I want to toss this at Pierre first, because you have a much broader kind of perspective. And no, seriously, and this isn't just an issue in China. This is I think, a matter that you probably deal with in a lot of countries.
All right. Thank you. I think this topic we addressed with Shane earlier, Shane Zero, that was talking about our approach in enterprise. And actually, we're seeing in enterprise customers which are shifting from reman to HP original. So how can that happen, right? So, I think we highlighted 3 or 4 key benefits of how we get this done, right? So HP recycles. We recycle in an ecological way all of the toner cartridges that our customers make available to us. We have a program that addresses costs, which is called paper print and enterprise supplies program, that provides increased benefit on the cost per page to enterprise customers. We have demonstrated third-party analysis that show that we deliver consistent quality output. And when you use an HP original, you don't just get quality, you don't just get reliability, you get the assurance that you get consistency in everything that you do on the printer that is backed up by HP's guarantee. When you get something that you buy on the market, you don't know what's going to happen to your printer. And it's not so much the printer or the toner, it's the information that gets on that paper, which is so important to the organization. So I think for the enterprise space, we're seeing some tremendous momentum towards HP Original. While there was some questions in the past, I think we're very, very focused on this opportunity and delivering that value to our customers.
Would you agree, Hanko?
Absolutely. One other thing I want to bring us back about the printing system. And a lot of time when we talk to customer, they always think the printer technology is all in the printer. You can use either reman or refill, you still get the same results. But when HP designed the printing system, it's about the printer, it's about the cartridge that we use, it's about the print media that we use. A combination of those we design optimize the whole booking itself. So there's one very important point that the customer need to understand. And a lot of time when the customer compare an alternative solution with HP original solution, they always talk about the initial purchase cost. I think earlier during the presentation, I think Shane pointed out very clearly, there were also hidden costs that the customer were not aware of. For example, based on the independent study by Quality Logic, right, more than 30% of the customer who use their printing on the demand solution face some kind of problem. Right, 70% of them actually dead on arrival. 1 in 4 actually the printed pages is of limited use. So if you combine all those together, plus the print quality that we deliver, really the value that we deliver a customer is more than just the initial purchase price. Of course, on HP we know that the cost of purchase is very important, and that's the reason why we roll out programs like X cartridge, the dual pack. Pierre mentioned about the enterprise supplies program, where we target at big enterprises with very high usage. And this enterprise, when they go on the program, they not only get very attractive price from HP, but they also get assurance of very good account coverage, as well as assurance of getting the original cartridge that actually enhance the printing environment. So I think all in all, we know that the customer has a choice, but at the end of the day, we will continue to educate the customer. The initial purchase price, when we compare the non-original versus original, is not the only thing.
I think this is really important, so I want to just ask Ravi and Ken really quickly. Are you seeing big customers starting to come around in your markets when it comes to original supplies, or are they still, buying Weeman and refill?
Well, there is a mix of customers. First of all, what we have found in our study and interaction with customers is that many customers have had this printer for the last 7-8 years. And one customer came and found that out of a fleet of about 1,000 printers, he had about 250 printers which were of at least 2 prior vintages. They were fuel guzzlers for their application. And once we got into a game or an MPS assessment phase for the customer, we quickly updated those printers, and he was actually using the manufactured cartridges. We brought them to original, and everything was actually much lesser in terms of expense compared to what it used to be. So it's a question, wherever we have been able to have an opportunity to interact with the customer, manage the customer, optimize the infrastructure, we find that customers greatly appreciate the value of original cartridges. And of course, there will be some outliers where we keep working upon that. But as Hancock pointed and Pierre mentioned, that most of the customers over a longer run do find that originals have a much higher value to them compared to the different cartridges, especially in the enterprise space.
Yeah, Dave, I think the value proposition is clearly being articulated by my colleagues here. So what I need to do as a country leader, primarily in a couple of areas. One is really provide education to our customers. All the big value, big product, dual pack, multi-pack,
Can you educate
how they
myself, please?
communicate, right? For enterprise customers, I think this year we actually, just like last year, we actually give our salespeople, our consultants as well, the responsibility to promote or carry supplies target as well. Right? So instead of being a hardware salesperson in the past, they're now also a system salesperson. And coupled with the NPS implementation. So for NPS area, obviously, once the customers work with us on the NPS solution, definitely there will be original supplies, right? For those transactional customers, we have a variety of programs like, as Shane mentioned this morning, the enterprise supplies program. We also have our coverage by our salespeople. That's the enterprise sector, right? Particularly with the mass, it's the hardest part to do it, right? China, the consumer market, the SME. But what we are doing, and we need to do, it's a challenge, but we need to improve upon it, is really provide better access for our customers who can get supplies wherever they want it, with clear communication, brochure, and articulation of different models matching the supplies. So in China today, we have about 1,500 functioning in Chinese. But English, it sounds like It's basically the original country store. When you go to the HP FS function game, you basically get assurance as original supplies. So we continue to expand on that. We are in the level 1, 2, 3 city now. We'll go to the level 4, level 5 city. That will be the focus. And finally, in online, using media here is a very important media for us to promote and educate customers on HP's original supply proposition. In those areas, we have to do a better job. We need to improve upon it. Not to be there.
Great. One thing that I've sat through a lot of product demonstrations over the last couple of days, and I've seen a lot of the cool new things. It's really striking to me though, given HP's strength, that I'm seeing all laser and I'm not seeing inkjet. Should an SMB be looking at laser instead of inkjet? I mean, is this a quiet push on HP's part to say, okay guys, it's time to go laser? Or is there something else going on? Hung Kong, you want to talk a little bit? I know because you're the laser jet guy, so I know there's going to be a little bias here. But I want to hear your
I look after the laser jet business, so I love laser jet, right? But and on a strategy standpoint, IPG strategy is really to continue our dominance on both technology. We want to continue to grow both inkjet as well as laser jet technology. And sometimes the customer can confuse, so what is your recommendation? Is it laser jet or inkjet, right? We want to give the customer a choice. At the end of the day, the customer can choose both inkjet and laser jet. And to us, the role here is really to help customer make the choice better. For example, if a customer would be looking for if his budget is limited, let's say below $300, he will still require fairly good text printing as well as some color graphics in his printing requirements. And he's also concerned about the running cost. Then the OfficeJet Pro using the inkjet technology is a very good choice, and we will recommend the SMB, even from here. But however, there are customers who actually require maybe a much higher print usage, few thousand pages a month, and they require heavier duty cycle. They need networkability because the environment is many users at one time. And they maybe even go beyond the printing to look at solution or security and all the nice stuff that the PNS team has been talking about. Then the laser jet technology offers really good solution. So at the end of the day, it's really for the customer to choose. The customer then has a choice between inkjet and laser jet. In the emerging country, for example, a lot of small SMB and even home user aspire to for the laser technology. So we won't tell them that you still can choose the laser, even though we think the inkjet technology offers you very good solution from the example I mentioned. So our strategy is really to make sure that we offers competitive industry first technology for both the technology, at the same time work with our sales team in the country to help the customer make a better choice.
So I'm going to put Robbie and Ken on the spot a little bit here. Last couple of days we've seen an awful lot of solutions, okay? And some people are coming out and saying, yeah, this is going to be great for other parts of Asia. If you could pick in your markets, right off the top of your head, don't worry about alienating your colleagues in this room, okay? I'll take the heat for you, okay? If you could pick the 3 things that you've heard talked about in the last day and a half that are going to be really important and make a difference in your market for SMB and enterprise, what are those 3 things going to be? And I'm going to ask Robbie first.
Sure. So first of all, I should say, and it's true for China too, India is a great growth opportunity. For example, let me start with the PC and printer connected in India is very low at 25%. Even in a country like Indonesia, it's like 42%, Thailand 58%. So there are lots of customers there who have yet to purchase their first printer. Second trend which we have seen in India, that's true more for inkjet compared to laser printer, almost 70% customers now purchasing an inkjet printer which is like an all-in-one, which requires copying, faxing, printing on one machine. And in yesterday's launch, now I see the laser jet product, which is the breakthrough product. I mean, there our ratio of conversion to all-in-one today was only 30%. 70% of single function printer, laser printer, 30% were all-in-ones. And I believe that the product we launched yesterday, both from a functionality perspective, price perspective, energy efficiency perspective, is going to be a game changer. So that's one particular area which we are focused on, and I think I'm very, very bullish as to what this product can do in the laser printer market. Okay, and the second one, of course, is the color penetration. We are strongly still working on that from that perspective. And again, I will talk about inkjet printer here at the 4500. I mean, that seems to be again a huge kind of opportunity from India perspective. And finally, the MPX additional offerings around that product, the new category of products. I think these are three great opportunities. And this will be across segments, from the enterprise, the government, which is a big buyer in India. I know currently there are $4 billion worth of projects in decision stage with the government out of July. A substantial part is actually IP2. And again, all these products which we launched yesterday, I think make them even more competitive as we move forward.
Okay.
Yes, David is very hard. Actually, I love that model. But you want me to pick three, I would have to pick three, right? First, I'll pick the low end. It's not in order, right? The low end laser jet. That's the one designed. In fact, that model was designed for China, for India, available in those two markets. Designed by collaboration with our Shanghai R&D lab. We started 3 years ago. So they understand the customer segment, and they actually do all the testing locally. For example, 10 years ago, the paper, right? China paper. When you go to a printer, sometimes it can jam. People understand the US why it can jam. So every time they launch new product, we send a bunch of paper over to the US. Noisy. So our site is for testing. Now we don't have to do that. They're here. They're testing it. So that's a good example. So coming back to the low end, because China is a big market. When you move out of a major city, you go to a smaller city, level 3, level 4 cities, and the cost of purchase, sensitivity to acquisition costs much higher. So those part of the ideally suited. Dr. Ravi is saying that ideally suited for a lot of SMBs and enterprise customers as well. Even for some of the high-end home users need. So that's a good product there. Second product I think is going to be excellent is 4-in-1. And again, that's how we help to make sure the product is fit for China. Those people coming from China understand. The telecommunication carrier different cities varies. They're not very reliable, right? So again, you have to test those products, make sure that affects part of the portion works very well. So we're testing through our Shanghai lab here, and 4-in-1 because it's small, it's 4 plus the foam. It's limited. People don't want to have 2 lines, right? It's 1 line. You know how it is, right? 3-in-1 works very well in the Western market. The China 4-in-1 works particularly better. Everything is in 1 box. A lot of energy saving features, and that's a very important product for us as well. And I think we're going to sell a lot of those as well. The third area is obviously the whole enterprise environment. As I said this morning, more and more state enterprise, government are using contractual services now. Okay, so we're working with them to do seminars throughout all the different provinces. Again, it's a lot of examination, education, assessment, and all the features that I saw this morning from PS session about eco-printing solutions, stream software, right, and supplies, and assessment, and it could be a fantastic opportunity. We are still a long way to go in terms of penetrating the market, but I think there'll be another third area that I'm really excited about.
Great. We're going to wrap it up, but I did want to give Sandra one kind of last chance. I'm going to throw you a quick but open-ended question. If, as an outsider, as someone who has been watching this market for as long as you have, what to you, walking away from this, what is the one thing that you are impressed the most with, based on what you've seen over the last couple of days?
One thing? I have to say the focus on services okay? Because, and this is not just about enterprises, because a lot of people think, well, SMBs are more about devices and infrastructure and less so about services. As we move forward, and yesterday was one thing that I talked about, one of the trigger points in today's marketplace, it's about managing change. And we can be talking about from crisis to recovery to expansion, and obviously there's change, right? But, you know, who knows what will really happen, right? And end of the year, next year, and there's some people out there who say there might be a double dip, although the probability is very, very low now, right? But what if that happened, touch wood, then we are getting back to crisis, and that's another change, right? And it's repeated and drastic change. So this whole notion around managing change means that at the end of the day, for the organization, small, medium, or large, it is about the service, right? It's not about whether I want to inject printer or laser, or I want, you know, whether we man supplies or original supplies. It's about the kind of service that I need, and the service as and when I need it. And we talk about scaling up and scaling down. That's where cloud computing as a service comes into the picture. And that's what HP calls contractual-based type pricing. So to me, the most impressive part, based on kind of the 19 years that I've been tracking this, is that how HP understands that at the end of the day, it is about the service, right? Everything else is basically one of the means to get to that point, because we are moving towards a services-oriented marketplace, whether we like it or not, and that's just how it is.
Great. Well, I think that's a good note to end on. Please join me, everybody, in thanking the panel that we've had up here today. It's been terrific, very important.